And there's no two ways about that. And we're in a depression, and they're in a depression. I mean, just look at the drop in industrial orders and the drop in industrial production. And I'm talking about China, Japan, the rest of Asia, the U.S., Canada, all the European countries. We're talking about drops of anywhere between 25 and 50%. I mean, that's incredible. It wasn't that bad during the Depression. So we're already in another depression. And so this is going to be widespread, and it's going to be that way for a long time, and throwing money at it is not the solution.
I hear you, Bob. All right, we got a caller. Michelle, you're on the air with Ed and Bob. What's your question for Mr. Bob?
Hi, Mr. Chapman. How are you?
Thank you. Fine.
I'm so glad that you're joining us, and I do have a question. The last time you were with us, you talked about how it might be a really good idea to dump our certificates of deposit. And we happen to have one, and I have been begging my husband to get rid of it. And, you know, all he's focusing on right now is that it's getting a fairly decent interest rate. And his answer to me is, well, you know, if the dollar's going to collapse, what difference is it going to make whether it's there or sitting at home? And I keep trying to say, well, you know, we need to be buying some silver or gold too, you know, and I'm not getting through to him. So could you maybe speak to that again?
Well, I think it's pretty simple, tongue-in-cheek, get a new husband.
Oh, my God, Bob.
No, I'm only kidding. I think it has to be pointed out that, yes, banks are insured as long as there's money, or as long as they can print money to pay you. But as they print money and issue credit, it devalues the value of your currency, or in this case, within your CD. So your buying power that might have been 10 might go down to 2 in the process of holding it there, even if the bank doesn't.
Bob, hang on. We got to go for a break. We'll be right back. You finish that. Okay, folks, hang on. We'll be back after this break. Well, we are back, and we have with us Mr. Bob Chapman. We have Michelle on the phone. Michelle, would you give your question again, please?
Yes. You know, back to the getting rid of the certificates of deposit, and also the silver and gold coins that, you know, Mr. Chapman was talking about earlier as far as using for bartering. My husband seems to think that, you know, as long as we have paper money, we'll still be able to buy. He says that during the Depression, people were still using paper money and people were still making money, and there were rich people then. You know, but I've seen pictures of people shoveling paper currency into furnaces.
Well, the shoveling never went on in the United States, but it certainly did in Europe, and particularly in Germany. And that was during the 1920s, and it was called the Great Inflation of the Weimar Republic. But I think that your husband has to understand that, yes, people will take dollars for things, but you'll have to give a lot more dollars than you had to previously. So if something cost $1,000, it might cost $4,000 in dollars if you wanted to purchase it in that environment, because the value of the dollar may have fallen. And what does the dollar fall against? Sometimes it falls against other currencies, but usually it falls against gold. In fact, what's happened over the last 5 years is that all currencies in the world have fallen against gold and silver. And what's more important, one of the reasons that gold was up today was that it's finally being recognized that many nations are deliberately devaluing their currencies so that their goods will be more competitive. It's called beggaring thy neighbor. And, of course, this is what went on during the 1930s. And so this is a classic event. And when that happens, people run away from currency and they buy gold. And as a matter of fact, over the last 10 months, all over the world, people have been buying up gold and silver, bullion and coins because they anticipated what's coming into view now, that there's a problem with currencies because nations are continuing to increase their money and credit, which used to be called M3 in America, until they did away with it so you wouldn't know what they were doing. And all of these loans and grants of money to corporations which are bankrupt, like our major banks and brokerage houses and insurance companies, they're all bankrupt. Because the stock market's going lower, the insurance companies and pension plans are going to be in dire straits. So you have this flight to quality, and the only quality in the world that's foolproof over the centuries is gold. Silver has been as well, but silver hasn't been used in coinage for a long time, and it probably will return to doing that under dire circumstances, but gold is immutable. And if you want to save the buying power which you have that's in the cash value of an insurance policy or an annuity or a CD, then you've got to be in gold and silver in these markets today. And if you're not, you're going to lose buying power. And yes, there'll be money around, and yes, you'll be able to spend it, and yes, you'll have to pay a lot more things in paper money than you did before. And so if you had $10,000 and it normally would serve you, say, for 3 months, it might last you a week under those kind of circumstances. So that's why you want to be out of CDs.
Thank you so much. I will let them listen to this replay. And you say it so much better than I could ever hope to try to explain it to them, and I really do appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, that's what happens when you're old.
Oh, I'm getting old, but I just don't explain so well.
Me.
But I do.
It's the accumulated knowledge of about, I'd say 55 years in the business world.
Wow. Well, I trust what you're saying. I started listening to you over on Alex Jones a couple of years ago, and have been trying to catch every show that I can wherever you're on, and I so appreciate you being a part of our Plains Radio show too.
Well, I thank you, and all I can say is that our track record has been unbelievable, and I'm very happy about that. And no normal human being could have done what the international forecaster has done. And all I can tell you is I am not that smart, and there has to be a reason that I have been right, and it has very little to do with me and a lot to do with God.
Amen. Amen. Well, God bless you, Mr. Chapman. Keep doing what you're doing, because we're listening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you there, Michelle. Appreciate the call. Anybody else wants to call in? It's 806-447-0270. Bob has a wealth of knowledge, and you know something? It don't have much knowledge, so he's kind of just having a spitter-spatter along here, so you guys give us a call. I know you got better questions than I do. Got anything else you want to talk about, Bob?
Yeah, there's something that came across today, and I'm going to paraphrase it. But and this is legislation that's being proposed, and I do not think it has a ghost of a chance of being passed. But I have to comment on the fact that it's even been proposed. It is truly dastardly that any politician would want to cut off funds for the military, people who have been wounded in battle, whether mentally or physically. They want these veterans and these active participants to pay their own medical.
Lane's Radio. Lane's Radio. Hello.
You hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, Bob. I'm listening. I've got a caller.
Oh. Anyway, I just couldn't believe that someone in Congress would present such a thing. And as I understand it, if you're not out